Welcome to Music Matters Podcast with Daryl Craig Harris, talking about all things music with celebrities, artists, music business insiders, and more.
Miist, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. So good to see your smile.
Well, likewise, you're coming to us from San Francisco and that area, which is a beautiful part of the world. You have such an interesting story. You've had some trials and tribulations to get to where you are, which we're going to talk about. You have a new book called Make Me Smile with Miist, which I think you have a copy with you, right?
Correct. Right here.
Yeah, there you go. And you also host a top 10 podcast series, which is Make Me Smile with Miist, same title. So you have such an interesting story. Talk to us about how you got started with music and what led you where you are today.
Absolutely. Music started very late in life. Actually, it was during COVID when I was trying to watch some YouTube videos to learn how to play a few simple piano chords so I can accompany myself when I sing. Not professionally, just for fun. And my husband kept stopping me every time I tried to watch those YouTube videos because he said, from listening to you sing, I can hear you have the gift to write your own music and play by ear. Don't let the YouTube videos limit how you use your gift. But that sounded is such a nice thing for him to say, and he honestly felt that way, but it felt like a scary idea to my brain because everything I've done in my whole life, I learned it first. I don't just go ahead and become an artist. So I argued with him for 6 months until one day I said, okay, that's enough. Let me sit down at the piano and show you I really can't do this. I can't write songs or play by ear. But I was honestly trying, and before I realized how long it was, I've already written 3 songs that day and completely proved myself wrong.
Yeah, and it's music is something I'm sure you know. It kind of grabs your heart, it grabs your soul, and you just can't deny it when that happens.
Absolutely. I just had to trick my brain into giving it a try.
Mm. And did you kind of think, oh, he's my husband, he loves me. Of course he's going to say that.
Absolutely. That's part of the reason, like, you just love me. So whatever I do, you would think is beautiful. That's why you say it. I didn't really understand that he actually felt that gift.
When you were a young girl and listening to music, who were some of the people that you really listened to that kind of inspired you?
I grew up in China and I didn't leave China until I was about 23. So most of the music I was listening to was in Mandarin Chinese. And there are some singers that I really like from Southeast Asia, like Stephanie Sun. Not many people know them from here, but they're more storytellers, like very similar to the 70s songs here. So later when I discovered Carpenters and
I was just going to say,
Barbara Streisand, I'm like, whoa, this sounds familiar. I know this feeling. I know the storytelling. So I immediately was very drawn to the 70s music.
Yeah, and Karen Carpenter's she's a touchstone for many singers, and you have a great voice too. I was going to say that it did kind of remind me of her voice and the storytelling manner, which to me is so important. It inspires many people, right? When you were growing up in China, were you exposed to a lot of different kinds of music, or mainly just Chinese music?
Chinese music also has different genres, so I was exposed to all of it. They are slightly different from the genres, even with the same name. They're slightly different from what's here. And I felt in the music history, at some point, the few big markets in Asia, the Japanese music, the Korean music, and Chinese music, they each took a different turn. And Korean just kept going up, and Japanese and Chinese music kind of almost like, I think they chose to stay at their own place. They're not as popular anymore these days.
Right. They weren't trying to do American pop style.
No, they made a different choice and they're content with where they are. So I forgot what our question was.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, we were just talking about the music in China because people. It's still China's still a mystery to many Americans, and especially the music. And we know K-pop and we know
Yeah.
J-pop. I've actually played with some very well known Chinese artists because I'm a musician. I'm a bass player, and they used to come over to the States, and I would be in the backing band. So I'm kind of familiar with some of that music, and oftentimes too, you hear classical woven in to Chinese pop. It's really interesting music, and it's of course the culture is so rich
Yeah.
with history that it's very interesting. And I used to live in Tokyo as well,
Oh
so
my goodness.
yeah, I have kind of a different view of it.
You have an authentic taste of what it's like.
Yeah. And I have a great reverence for Chinese music because again, it's the culture's so old. You had some challenges growing up, and one of them was, well, I'll let you tell the story, but at age 5, you were abandoned, and kind of tell us about that and how you overcame those things, because that's part of your story and part of your book and your podcast.
Absolutely. I think that part of the story shows some of the just the overall cultural view on parenting and how to raise your kid and their priorities. So, as a group, Chinese people, we prioritize education.
Right.
When I was around 5, boarding school was a new fancy thing for a better opportunity of education. And my parents had the opportunity to send me to one, which they didn't understand the psychology behind it.
Right. It was just kind of the new thing to do, and yeah.
Absolutely. So they had good intention. However, to my young mind, it felt like a total abandonment because I stay at school for 5 days a week. And on weekends, sometimes I get picked up, sometimes I don't. So I can't see my parents whenever I want to. Like other kids who go to regular schools, they can see them every day. Also, because of this change, part of this change made led to some decisions my dad made that he actually left the family and left me permanently. So that was 30 years ago. I just want to bring a little light to this story. So I had a lot of resentment toward him, but recently I did enough inner work on myself. I was able to reconnect with him.
Oh, okay.
And I actually went back to China last month to see him in person.
Wow.
So even though the story part was sad and left a lot of damage on all of us, even him,
Sure.
even
Yeah.
he was the one making the decision. He deeply regretted it. But it led me to all the inner work I can do on myself. Then it led me to focus my music more on the meaningful messages and helping other people dealing with situations like this, and also to show them you're not alone.
Right. And that's super important. And I can relate to your story because I had this similar thing with my father. He kind of disappeared. So, same thing, like for me, that those things can destroy you or they can be fuel for your success. If you try to find a positive road, which obviously you have. And that's kind of something I did as well. I just said, I'm not going to let this destroy me. I'm just going to wake up every day on a mission. And then as we get older, we kind of have a different view of life and we understand life is complicated. Things are not always as simple as we think, So your musical journey is so interesting because you've had several hits. Your Spotify numbers are very crazy. You have a lot of people that follow you. Tell me about working with Narada, the producer, because he's very well known. Talk a little bit about him for people that are not familiar with him.
And a lot of the success that I had with music is because of him. I definitely give him a lot of the credits, and it's us doing it together. But the story I met him was also interesting. I just told you earlier the part of how I discovered that I could write music. Then it kind of is like opened up a big output for me to express all the feelings that I was not able to express before. So I was writing a lot of songs with all the stories. Now I have all this material, but either me or my husband is from the music industry. Yeah, we had no idea of how to get them even out there. So we were just doing the slow and traditional way by telling everyone I'm doing this. And one person we met actually is also a musician. So we swapped music, and he forwarded my music to a friend of his, and that friend works for Narada Michael Walden.
And he is, for people that don't know his story, he has produced Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Aretha Franklin. I mean, it's a very long list of huge hits. And I know he's a wonderful guy because I've seen several interviews with him. He just seems like the sweetest man. Tell me what, like when you're working with him, is he collaborating on songwriting? Is he just producing? How does your relationship work?
He does both of them. So after that he received my music, he called me personally and said, please come to my studios. I want to meet you. And the first time I was there, he put me on the exact piano and microphone that Aretha Franklin used to record Respect.
Wow. Yeah, crazy.
And he said, sing me something. So I did sing him the songs I just wrote, just with a few piano chords that I learned on YouTube. And he kept asking me to sing him more. And at the end of that meeting, he said, Miist, I would like to produce an album for you. Mm-hmm. So now I'm getting to the point of what we do. So at this point, I told him, Narada, that's like a dream. I was afraid to dream, but now I'm not afraid to dream. And he said, wait there, that is a song. You should write a song about that. So sometimes he asked me to write a specific song for him. Then later he would also send me some of the beats that he created, trying to
kind of
inspire me to write different kinds of genres. Because at that time I was primarily writing ballads, and those are the songs I brought to him. But he saw the potential of me writing different kinds of music. So he would try different things on me. Every time he gave me something, I would write a different song. So those are some songs that were included in there. That's how we co-wrote on those songs. Then there are also songs, like at the end of the album, we recorded quite a bit of some upbeat songs, and there are some ballads. Then he took a look at the whole album and he's like, Miist, right now I think we're just missing one more song. It's a song that's gonna make people cry. So he made another request on the song. I wrote a song, tried on different people, they cried. So I'm like, Narada, here's the song. He's like, it's a good song, but it didn't make me cry. Do it again. So I wrote another song. Other people cried. Of course, he didn't cry again. So this time I'm like, I have to call him. Narada, so please explain to me what kind of song will make you cry. Then he explained, it's like the kind of love that no matter what happens, I will love you. It's just like
like forever love.
Yeah, like he specifically said, like the song Bridge Over Troubled Waters.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's a legendary tune.
Yeah, I know. But he's like, just like that feeling. Then I wrote the third song on that topic. It's called Love Them Away. Them is referring to all the pains in you.
Right.
In the song, I specifically said things like, don't be afraid, just show me who you really are. And I promise you, whatever you show me, I will love it. And I will love all your tears and pains away.
Yeah, and that's that's a powerful message, and you've kind of lived that, as I mentioned, through your father and through your past.
Yeah.
It's so important. How important is storytelling to you in songs? That because obviously we have a lot of pop songs that maybe they have a message, maybe they don't, but story songs seem to be the ones like you mentioned from the '70s that have stuck with us over the decades. Talk about that and how important that is to you as a songwriter.
It's almost the most important thing to me because I was not trained to write music in a technical way. The only way I know how to write is to really feel the emotion either in my own story or in other people's story. Even those dance songs, upbeat songs, there's a story in there. I have to know what the story is, how it goes to be able to hear the whole song.
Right.
And it comes out in melody first, almost always. Unless sometimes Narda hears a line and he said, that has to be the hook. Then I'll start from there, but still have to paint the whole picture around that line to be able to write.
And I have a lot of friends in Finland I work with that work with Finnish artists. And one of the big challenges, obviously, all the time is singing in English when it's not your native language. And your English, actually, your singing in English is very good. Is that something that you've worked on? Is that something he works on with you? Or how is that process for you?
You're good. It's
Well, I'm very in tune with that.
yeah, I first have to work with my husband. He's an English speaker and he's also my co-writer. He helps me with the words a lot, even from the writing. Then as I sing those words, we adjust them. Also, he would help me with the pronunciation. And Narda is known, I don't know if you know this, but Narda is known for helping female singers with how they sing the words, even if they are English speakers.
Right. Just certain pronunciations.
Yeah,
Right?
it's kind of like vocal producing, but not exactly. It's more like how you sing this word that to achieve the best effect on what you want people to feel. He's known for that.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
I was very lucky to have him as my mentor in songwriting, in producing, and in that. I learned so much. And even until this day, we still talk very often and text. Even until this day, I often have this moment when I'm doing something else on music. Finally, something he said a year ago finally
Kind
clicked.
of clicks, yeah, right?
I know. Yeah, it's so much wisdom in there. It takes a long time for me to digest and to really get it.
Yeah, and I bring that up also because a lot of the J-pop, K-pop artists, English is not their first language. So what you'll hear often in those songs is they may have the verses in Japanese or Korean, and then the chorus goes to English. So that I have a lot of J-pop, K-pop friends that are songwriters, and they kind of explain to me that process. So it's a very interesting, for people that don't know that, it's an interesting process.
I also have another friend told me another interesting perspective on it. He's, I think he's Argentine. So he said, for people like us, we can try to improve the English, but don't get rid of the accent.
Exactly. Yep.
Because that won't be us. And that's what's unique about us. And even we try, we can't 100% get rid of it anyways.
Yeah. And honestly, oftentimes too, like if you hear these Finnish rock bands and stuff, it's an interesting because it's exotic. Also, like, people that come from Iceland, some of the singers that we know, it's just an interesting sound. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I just think you got to find the path through all that.
Exactly. I think Narda also didn't particularly try to get rid of the accent. He was more with the important words for people's understanding and feelings. He fine-tuned those, but leave the rest for me to.
Yeah. And that's a smart producer. He brings the best out of what you have instead of trying to change you. And for an artist, that's the ideal producer. They're not trying to remold you into something that's not comfortable. Tell me about your podcast journey, because your podcast has been very successful. How did you decide to start doing a podcast? And again, that's Make Me Smile with Miist.
Yes, thank you for mentioning the name. It actually all started from my last year's project and the main song, Could You Lend Me a Smile? I read about this guy's story that he's in his early 20s and he died in his apartment alone. Not particularly from any disease, he just gave up from
Right, kind of heartbreak. Yeah, heartbreak.
Exactly,
Maybe.
exactly. So it's like a heavy weight on my chest. I couldn't stop thinking about it until I do something with it. So I wrote a song about it. In the song, I want to both raise the awareness on the issue of lonely death. Also, I want to give people a simple step that everybody can do anytime in any day's life that can start changing this.
Right, help them move forward.
Exactly. So I boil this step down to as small as possible so everybody can't say that, oh, I don't have time to do it, or I just not able to do it. And the simple step is to smile at someone. You can just do it once a day. It takes less than a second, and it will start changing how we feel and how other people around us feel. Then we start to change our world. And that idea started the podcast. The main theme is 15 seconds to change our world.
I often say too, you can choose to be happy. Happiness is a choice. You can wake up every day. As I say, for me, like I wake up every day on a mission that this could be my last day, and live according to that, because one day you will be correct and we don't know when that's going to happen. So every day should mean something. It should have a mission, right?
That's very beautiful. That's exactly the same idea behind the whole podcast, that we just also people get overwhelmed with such big problems that people are telling them, the global warming, the war, the everything. That's not something we can solve. So we feel overwhelmed and we give up. But if we tell people, yes, you can do something, and that something is so little that you can do it just once a day for less than 15 seconds, then people would see it as some actionable things that they can actually do and make them feel good. And that good feeling will remind them to do it again.
It's something easy to digest on a daily basis. It's even things like looking in the mirror in the morning and saying, I love you, and getting it into your subconscious is important, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you could give some advice to young artists and people that have had to deal with diversity in their lives, because you've overcome a lot, and we're only touching the surface. You also overcame a terminal cancer diagnosis when you were 27, and have become obviously very successful. But talk about overcoming adversity and your advice to young artists.
First, I heard you said the word successful a few times. First, I want to clarify what successful really means to all of us, right?
Exactly.
Looking at you, I think
Exactly.
you're very successful because you wake up every day and choosing to be happy. To me, that's as successful as you can be. The world tries to tell us that successful means higher education, money, fame, power. But look at people who have all those things. How many of them look truly happy? How many of them are not using something else to just numb the pain and just to feel lighter? Because I think if we follow that definition of success, we will likely not end up being very happy. However, if we define successfulness of the life as being truly happy, content, and have loved ones around us all the time, and doing something for others, doing a little bit something for others every day, I think those are some better definition of success. Then go back to our question for some young musicians. I think for musicians, true success doesn't mean that we have a hit song or we charted something or all those big and quick look like success. Is to find our true voice and find our real style and find a way to really express our own feeling and who we really are. And if we can find that, the other kind of success will come at some point. But if we lose that, even you have a one-time success, it will only be temporary.
And there's a lot of people that are very successful that are not necessarily very happy. And that's a really good life lesson. And I think, kind of what you're talking about with the success thing, I've often said it's really important as a human to define what success means to you personally, not what it means to other people. And that I think as for me, I'm an old guy. I'm in my 60s. And that's a very important life lesson I've learned. Like, don't judge yourself by what other people say about you. It's none of your business what they say about you. It's only important to find your own path and what makes you personally happy.
Yeah.
Right.
I disagree about your being old. I think how we really feel defines how old we are.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Yeah, and I still have fun. That's the important thing. As a musician, it's important to remember why you started playing music. It's because it was fun. It touched your soul. It wasn't because you thought you were going to get rich or famous.
Absolutely. So having fun, I think, is another way to define how successful we are in music. Are we still having fun?
Yeah, I agree. And people and artists, when they're reaching audiences, the audience can feel that. They can feel when you're invested. They can feel when you're authentic and when you're enjoying what you do. And that's always, puts a smile on people's faces. Miist, how can people find you online? And do you have a website, social media, all that stuff?
Yes, I'm Miist, thesinger.com, and Miist, the singer, across all the social media platforms, and you can search also Miist on all the music platforms. Miist.
Okay, perfect. And then do you have any shows coming up in the near future, or what's your schedule for that?
Right now, I'm primarily a recording artist, but I do have a showcase every year in LA. That last year was the Smile Project. This year is the Love Project, with the main song that I wrote with another amazing producer and songwriter, Mauro Malavasi, Italian musician, and he's the one who produced and co-wrote Andrea Bocelli's Romanza album.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I should mention too, because you have a nonprofit as well. Maybe talk a little bit about that if you could.
Yes, I would love to. So my foundation is called the Smile Initiative. It also started from Could You Lend Me a Smile, is to support this movement of the 15-second actions to change our lives. And we have these cubes that are called kindness cubes that are given away from the foundation on my website on a donation basis. And they can be mailed anywhere on the world because they come flat. But now it's a cube. It will pop open and turn into a cube. This is just a simple reminder of all the things that we already know when we're 3 years old. Smile, be silly, say a kind word, be grateful, and remind someone that you love them. These are some of the 15-second actions that we can do every day. And as a family, we always try them first on our walks, on everything we do. And we remember how it makes us feel to know if it actually works. And they definitely work. Now, we do them without thinking about them already. But that's a start.
You know what? It's always good to remind people of those things because they're simple, basic things, but they're super important. That's why we're here as humans, to smile, to spread love, to help others. I think that's super important message. Thank you so much for joining me. You have such an interesting story. It's a very big story, so I tried to kind of condense for our podcast, but
So good. Thank you so much for having
Oh, you're
me.
very welcome, and everybody, please check out the new book, "Make Me Smile with Miist." Also, her podcast series, which is again a top 10 in the U.S. Such an interesting story, great music. Also, you're available on Spotify streaming under artist name Miist. So search for that as well. So thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks for joining us, and please consider subscribing to our podcast and follow us on our social media pages for guest announcements.